Oh. There's a kid outside crying. Shut up, man. Steve Bruce's fault, that. Can't find any. Hello and welcome along to the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel. It was the first away game of the season for Newcastle to newly promoted side Norwich, and we were taught a mighty lesson at Carrow Road. A drab performance to really show that Newcastle are in for a pretty long season. My name is Emil Franchi and these are the player ratings as we lost 3-1 to Norwich. Kicking off with the goalkeeper. Martin Dubravka, he did concede a hat-trick, but it was a decent start for him. Before the goals he looked strong, there was two decent stops early on, they were quite easy, but still, as ever, he was left exposed by our backlot. Some of Pukki's shots looked savable, the second two I would say, the first one was a bit of a wonder goal, but not great, considering. 6 for Dubravka. The new man Emil Kraft, my namesake, playing as well as I can in any football game, to be honest. It was a nightmare debut really for the Swede. He looked all over the place and he didn't seem to know where he was going. That seems to be the running theme at the minute with new players at the back. Kind of out of position, but the effort was there, I have to admit, but the final goal just summed up his game. It wasn't a great game at all. 3 for Kraft. Lascelles didn't seem to improve in week 2. Any time that Norwich were in the box, he looked weak, and it was a pretty useless block on one attack. There was more of the trademark back-offs throughout the game. Stood around like the rest of our defence, and it's 3 for Captain Lascelles. It was a repeat show from Shea as well. 2 off games in a row doesn't bode well, but all 3 goals, he was just miles away. He was stood still, he wasn't there. We did see some of his attacking play, but it was a poor game really for Shea. 4 for him. Dummett, he fell foul of Norwich's quick breaks as well. Some decent challenges, but ultimately he was caught sleeping towards the start, which could have been a goal. More often than not, he was running back behind the Norwich players, chasing them. We saw a few decent long balls forward, but there wasn't enough in this game for Dummett. I have to give him a 4. Richie next, didn't see much of him in defence. I know he was playing that wing-back role, but he was running free almost. Some of the set plays were poor. One flat ball went straight at the Norwich player and they broke from that. And there was a short free kick as well. We've seen that creeping back into his game. He passed it to Shelby for his ball in, which nearly resulted in Shares getting a header. But yeah, not perfect from Richie. 5 for him. Hayden in the centre, he was looking good. He saw a lot more of the ball this week. He was by far the best on our side. And he fought to win the ball. He went a bit solo on the wing at one point. He put that ball into Krul, who nearly fell back into the goal with it. So, you know, he could be important this season. I think he will be. He was the only bit of organisation in that team, and he was, even then, kind of playing right wing for no reason. I have to give Hayden a 7. It was a decent showing from him. Key started the game this week in the centre. He didn't see much of the ball at all. Didn't see much of Key during the game. Someone described him as League One standard. I think it's pretty much up there. It was another case of a fast team against us. The one thing I really saw was his corner in. It did cause a bit of bother, but nothing more, and he didn't put a tackle in. He barely took possession. It was crap. Key gets 3 this week. Longstaff came on for him and he's really booked his ideas up. I said in the Always Smiling Faces podcast that Longstaff should be dropped. He was, and Bruce said he was protecting him because his injury not quite up to speed yet. I'm not too sure, but he came on with some ideas. His ball to Shelby was good to get us the goal, but it was too little too late. 6 for Longstaff. On to Shelby, our goal scorer. Defensively, he was shocking. No tackles like Key. There was no effort to get back. He was just stood there in the usual way that he does when he can't be bothered. Like I said, attacking, he was all right. He got some good long balls in, like that one he got from Richie. But the goal, it was well taken, however it was nothing more than a consolation. Have to give Shelby a 6. Almiron went missing in this one, disappeared away from home. I hope it's not a running theme, but his usual good runs forward were there. Nothing really came of it. There was no crosses. He didn't really give any attacking options. It was a pretty crap game from Almiron, I have to say. 4 for him. On to Joelinton, who should have scored that header. It was on a plate for him. And it's such a shame. That was the big moment for him because everything else just kind of kept him quiet. His challenges on the ball early on looked like he wanted to try and get there, but he's having a tough time on his own up front, and his game was cut short due to the injury. Joe Linton gets 4. Muto came on in place, another game where he didn't really change the game from the bench. It seems to be a usual thing from Muto, but 5 touches for the game when he did come on. It's not great, is it, for a striker? 3 for Muto this week. This is an awful feeling, really, after 2 games. It's a very bad sign. I'd like to see there be a game where we can bounce back. I'm holding on hope that the team can gel, but looking at Norwich, they were the team up for it. The newly promoted side, similar we were when we came up many years ago and beat Villa 6-0 at home. Probably a bad time to play Norwich, but then again, I don't know if we're going to have any good times to play anyone, and every time you play Newcastle seems to be a good time for any of the team. Surely it can get better, we'll have to see, but thanks very much to our sponsors, Guglielmo Clothing, GEORDIE Gifts for sponsoring the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel. Have a brown ale and keep going. It was a great way to spend my birthday.